We the people tell the government what to do. It doesn't tell us. We the people are the driver. The government is the car. And we decide where it should go and by what route and how fast. Almost all the world's constitutions are documents in which governments tell the people what their privileges are.
Hey everyone, welcome once again to yet another episode of Two Noobs Talking. It's episode number 75. It's the diamond anniversary, I guess you could call it that, of Two Noobs. With me, of course, are my two good friends, Mr. John Tracy, Mr. Steve Murray. Gents, how you guys both doing?
Sweet.
Better not. Nah, just messing around.
Awkward pause.
Sixers don't suck. I'm just going to say
Yeah,
that.
exactly. The sky has not fallen. It's only one loss. I'm Matt Craig, of course. Happy to be along for the ride. Gents, as I mentioned, episode 75. Can't believe we hit 75, Johnny. It's amazing. But as we go and take a look at who wore 75 in the city of Philadelphia, we have to lead off with Hal Gill, right? Of the
There you go.
Philadelphia Flyers. Got to lead off with him.
Hal Gill. Everybody loves Hal
Six
Gill.
games, right? I mean, 6 games in his
It
Flyers
felt
career.
like a decade. 6 games, it felt like a decade.
It did. It really did.
Love you, Hal Gill.
But then we also have Vinny Curry, who was, I think, part of
Vinny
the
Curry.
championship. Was he part of
He
the
was, and he was the one we were missing on the championship defensive
Yes.
line last
There
episode.
we go. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Love
Someone
Vinny
had the
Curry.
right number. We couldn't figure out who it actually were until just now. So there you go.
I kept thinking in my head Vinny,
Yeah.
but I had
Yeah,
just
but-
watched something that I think had to do with like Italian mobsters, and I thought maybe I was getting them confused.
Didn't he
Nice.
leave abruptly after it?
I think
He
so.
did, and then he came back.
I think that's why we forgot about him, and then he came back, and then we were all happy he came back. But I think that's why he doesn't resonate on the line as everybody else, because he left so quickly after it.
Local kid, too. Well, local in terms of Neptune, New Jersey, remember? I mean, remember, it's like, well, he's like 75 miles away from Philadelphia. That's not exactly local, but okay.
Philadelphia media, they will dig a ditch for you if you even spit close to Jersey. You're a Philly kid.
You're a Philly
They
guy.
just grab.
It's
they
South
grab it.
Jersey. South Jersey.
Yeah.
They're still talk like that criminal that guy whose dad was a criminal, Bobby Ryan, where he was playing in Jersey,
Oh, yeah.
and then he moved him to California. That's how he got caught because his son was a really good hockey player. His dad got caught. They still call him a Philly kid.
Well, yeah, but he was from Cherry Hill. That's close enough.
That's like right around the corner.
It doesn't count though.
Sure, it does. You're in Cherry Hill. You're a Flyers fan. Come on.
Exactly. Well, what is it? Do they have a skate zone there in Cherry Hill, or is that like
I think so.
more
No, it's in Voorhees, which I guess
Voorhees,
is
New Jersey? That's right. Yeah.
That's close enough.
south of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's close
Yeah.
enough. I mean,
That's close.
I'm pretty sure.
Kind of like,
I'm pretty sure because my son played there a little bit. I'm pretty sure we passed Cherry Hill on the.
oh yeah,
okay.
yeah, yeah. I think you did pass. Yeah, Cherry Hill on the way to Voorhees.
You go over like we would usually go over either the Betsy Ross or the Tacony Bridge.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
I think it's
the
right around
Tony
there.
Palmyra Bridge. Then we also
Don't
have
drive on
Jaquay-
that bridge when it's rainy, man.
Exactly, it's
Oh
horrible.
no, you do not.
Jaquay Parker was another guy that also wore it. And then we had Stan Walters. Johnny, you love Stan Walters.
Oh yeah, I mean if you ever listen to the radio,
Yeah.
growing up at our age, if you ever listen to the radio, that was that guy.
Yeah.
He made you feel the Slacks Hoagie Shack whack of the week.
Mhm.
Oh, he did. And such a great story about this. He was originally drafted by the Bengals in the early 70s. He got traded to Philadelphia. And Dick Vermeil basically changed his entire life. He said this. Vermeil said, "You have to play better or else you're out of here." And that kind of woke up Stan Walters, and he became like a solid left tackle for the
that all it
Eagles
took?
like in the late 70s into the 80s when he went to the Super Bowl with the team. Yeah, he was left tackle. Yeah. But it
Is that
was-
all it took? Those just play
Yeah,
better or
just
you're
not
out
hard
of here.
work and dedication.
better or you're outta
Dick
here,
was like,
and boom.
be the man.
I mean, you know how Dick Vermeil was? Dick Vermeil was one of the best coaches the Eagles did have prior to Andy Reid, but
Is it
You know,
like
he
touched
had a
an-
power to
touched an
change
angel like
people.
Kurt Warner? And then Kurt Warner all of a sudden became the greatest player ever because Dick Vermeil touched him or something. Why are there so many weird stories about Dick Vermeil? I
it's
don't
just
get it.
amazing. Yeah, I played for him for crying out loud. Are you kidding me? I played.
Oh
for
yeah,
him.
he's
one of the best. Yeah.
Pete Carroll's like the new him. I can't be around people that upbeat for that long. I'm just saying.
Though.
Tell me what I need. Tell me what I need to do, and leave me alone.
And leave you alone. Yeah,
rah is not my strong.
You don't want a hug from Dick Vermeil, Johnny? I don't know. You know. Anyway, well, let's move on to our very first. Oh, wait a minute. Before we do, Steve, I'm gonna pass it over.
Yeah.
To you
So
what do you got?
I just had an interview for my new job as a poll taker.
Ooh.
And I was wondering if you guys wouldn't mind if I practice a couple questions on you.
Oh, absolutely.
Are you kidding me?
Make sure I'm doing this right.
I'll take a poll.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. So first, just to make sure I have you in the correct demographics, do both of you classify as human?
No.
I do.
So
I do.
1 and 1. Okay. All right. Next question. Governor Wolf, yes or no?
That
Absolutely,
would be
positively no.
would be a hard no. Yeah. Hard no.
No for that. Okay. Are today's youth?
They're not.
I'm gonna say yeah, they are. Yeah.
Okay.
No.
Are you interested in hearing about your car's extended warranty?
Absolutely.
Hell no. Hell no.
At least twice a day.
You guys have almost like polar opposite answers. Have you ever been in a Turkish prison?
I cannot comment.
I have not been in a Turkish prison. No.
You know what I mean?
Yes, I do.
Yes, 100%. Yep.
Okay. Well, listen, you both failed. And this does not look good. All right.
That's fantastic. What a great poll.
This job sucks.
All
right, move on. Topic 1.
Let's move on. Let's move on to our very first topic. Speaking
Thank
of
God he's
polls,
got his law degree.
I love it.
Fall back on that.
I love it. I love it. Speaking of polls, guys, a major poll, topic number 1 here, came out early part of the month of March from Quinnipiac University up in Connecticut.
Who's that?
And what's that?
Who's that?
Who's
The
that?
Bobcats.
Bobcats of Quinnipiac University.
Quinnipiac.
Quinnipiac? Yeah.
They're didn't the girls hockey team win?
Well, they're in the I think they're in the
they're
tournament right now, but they beat somebody in the regional semifinal, so I think they're in the regional final.
See, I was totally not listening during pre-production.
You could tell they're from the New England though, just because of the really long, easy to mispronounce name, like Massachusetts Chickaquatami Quitaquata,
Exactly.
Bunch of assholes up there.
But in any event, guys, this poll was very interesting. It came out the early part of March, and talking about everything going on with Ukraine and Russia. Of course, that war continues to go on. The Russian military continues to be the idiots that they are. So a couple questions were asked that I thought was very interesting. One of them was, do you support the war? Particularly one in particular was if Putin invades a NATO country, goes beyond Ukraine, say like goes into Poland, what do you think about that? Broad support, 79 to 14%, saying that the U.S. should then intervene and stop Putin at that point.
Well, that's good because the NATO agreement says we have to.
Yeah, you kind of have to. Like there isn't. I really don't have an opinion on that because we kind of have to.
Yeah, exactly.
We are obligated contractually. Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly.
Like when my rent's due, I'm not like, how can I get out of this? I'm like, all right, I can pay my rent because I told you I would.
You can't just write this off, right? I mean,
that's a simple one.
It's also a nonsense question because Putin. He's kind of going off the rails, but he's not stupid.
No. Yeah,
he's not dumb. Yeah, he's not dumb by any means.
No, he's not going to attack a NATO country.
Part
of the reason we think he's going into Ukraine is to stop them from ever joining NATO.
Yes.
Which would be a problem for him. So
yeah, exactly.
He doesn't want to be surrounded by NATO countries. So
yeah.
But yeah, it actually kind of confuses me a little that it's only 79 because if we're all running on the fact that we signed the
this
NATO
deal.
agreement as the United States, it should be 100 of us going, yeah, of course we would go after them because it's part of the
How
agreement.
many know about Article 5, though, John? That's the thing. I don't think many people know about
that. That worries me with news and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
That's something all three of us said when that was read. We were like, yeah, of course he would, because isn't that
You have to go. Yeah,
isn't that what we're supposed to do? Because
exactly. Yeah.
You may also have people in that number though that are also people who don't want us in NATO to begin with. So that
could be too.
That could also explain why it's not 100.
Yeah.
I understand that. I hope that's only a very small group.
Small minority. Yeah. Should make a mention too that this poll, there's like 1,328 people. We'll have more to talk about that a little bit on as we go through this, but because it was very.
Did they all classify as human?
I think so. Yeah.
I'm hoping so.
Second one, which I thought was very interesting, guys. How long do you think this war is going to last? 44% say months, 23% say years, multiple. 19% say weeks, 14% did not offer opinion. What do you guys think about that? 44% saying it's going to last a couple months, be over. 23 years.
That's where I kind of fall, because I don't think he's taking the country over. Mm-mm. So, however long it's going to take Ukraine to whoop his ass, I think it's going to be a couple months. I don't think it's going to be a couple years. I think they kind of got their shit together, Ukraine, on the ground. So I'm not really worried about Ukraine. I'm not worried about Ukraine getting taken over by Russia. I'm just waiting for it to end, because they're doing a fine job by themselves.
They sure are. Yeah, I mean, and the Russian military.
Yeah, and
everybody was feared about the Russian military and everything, guys. And
not doing a very good job.
The most bumbling pieces of trash that you can even remote. They can't get the logistics right. They've had major generals killed in the line of battle. I mean, it's like all these people are just like, it's amazing. And like there's like a tank column. They had to back out of like a particular Ukrainian village because they were getting bombarded by Stinger missiles. So they had to turn around and go out. It's like there's no coordination what's going on, and people were so worried about this.
You may be able to, link this back as far as the invasion of Sparta by, Xerxes and the Persian army. He had overwhelming numbers, but they were essentially slaves fighting for a cause they probably didn't believe in, right? Invading a country of people who steadfastly decided they want to defend. And, it's a lot easier to just give up and say, yeah, I'm not going to do this when you're on the Russian side and you're like, why am I bothering?
Why am I bothering to do this? Yeah. When I'm told, and then on top of that, you're told, hey, you're just going in there for a military exercise. You're not going in there to fight a war. That's a totally different set of circumstances.
Well, that was literally his first mistake. He lied to his soldiers.
He lied to his troops. Yeah.
But this is what Putin does.
Yeah.
Lie.
He's not a very nice person.
Not a trustworthy person.
Yeah,
no.
I have a feeling at the end of this will end in a couple months. I have a feeling it's going to end in a couple months, but I think where the whole Russian thing's going to end is Europe's going to hold him accountable for this.
Oh, 100%.
He's going to trial for war crimes.
No question.
Because this is a bumbling act of bullshit, and I think Europe is tired of this kind of stuff.
When you target civilian, hospitals, maternity wards.
Exactly. There's no
reason. That's a war crime. Period.
There is no reason for this, and
None. I'm
seeing a lot of solidarity in Europe being like, this is the last time. Like we're now together. You were saying that Finland is thinking about joining NATO.
Finland.
Germany's helping out. Like they're all coming together. He's not long for this world.
No, he is not.
After this. So they'll hold out for a couple months as long as the Russian troops are, want to advance.
Yeah.
But they're not. I don't think it's.
It's a matter too of how fast the weapons can get into that country as well. From the NATO. You have the west border open, so as fast as they possibly can. And I think they are getting them there as quickly as they possibly can. It's a lesson learned though that when you see Russian troops amassing on your eastern border, you better damn well lock up and load up, basically, to make sure that no advances happen as best you possibly can, obviously. But you don't wait until the 9th hour to get these missiles in. as quickly as he possibly can.
But I think Europe has learned from this, and this is one amazing thing where the United States didn't have to stick their nose where it didn't belong.
Yeah,
they were able to, help and support, but the other countries have stepped up. It's huge. It's for a better world.
Yeah,
seeing these people doing what they're supposed to be doing.
What they're doing. Yeah. Another question. Steve, I'll throw this kind of to you here. 2/3 of Americans have a favorable opinion of Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. That's pretty good. 29%, though, said that they haven't heard enough about him. What are your thoughts on that, real quick?
I think I may have been in that group.
In that 29%? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I absolutely think he's doing a great job of rallying his countrymen and defending the country and holding off the invasion. I think he's doing a lot of the right things from that perspective, and we praise his bravery for kind of leading from the front, as I've said before. But I mean, until this started, I'd never heard of the guy. I don't know what his policies are generally in peacetime. I don't, he could be a corrupt piece of shit for all I know. Otherwise, it's kind of like the enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Exactly.
He's beating back the Russians, so yeah, that's cool. Just like Stalin was cool when we were facing the Nazis.
Yeah.
But the minute that war was over, it's like, well, oh yeah, Stalin killed 20 million of his own people. That's probably not good.
Yeah. One thing too.
I don't really know much about the guy.
One thing to your point, that's a great point. I think there was, before the war, he had like Biden numbers in terms of approval. We're talking mid to late 30s. And obviously, ever since he's taken up his mantle to defend the country, that approval rating in Ukraine, 90%. Obviously. So,
but it also shows people can change.
Yeah, exactly.
If you do the right thing in times of crisis, people will look upon you much more favorably than, I mean, just look at how Bush responded and after 2001.
That was absolutely, his approval rating went through after that speech at me and Matt have talked about this a million times. After his speech at Ground Zero, his approval rating was like 44%, and it shot through the roof because America was like, we need someone like that to lead us.
That was the thing. I remember. Yeah. That's a great point because he was really timid at the beginning, and then all of a sudden it was like, I can hear you, the rest of the world can hear you, and people that knock these buildings down will hear from all of us. And that got a huge pop, obviously, but yeah.
It was a great speech and a great reaction at that time.
It was, exactly.
It was needed.
Yeah.
And Zelensky's done the same thing.
Yep. The shame of it was he then rode that wave and thought it would justify Iraq, and it was
That's another story for another time. Exactly. Yeah.
I robbed the bank next door. Why can't I rob this one?
But that question's not nuanced enough for me. What's your opinion of him? Well, he's doing a great job on the war, but I can't say how he rules his country.
How he rules his country.
I don't know anything about him.
It's very simple. It's how the media likes to do things. They were like, well, what do you think about Zelensky? Well, I really like that he's not dead and he's not killing his own people because some jackass decided to shoot missiles
running and
at
hiding
him.
Or fleeing or whatever.
Exactly. Like, he's doing a great job getting shot at every day. Like, that poll is totally media produced, and that's what I don't like about, or that question is totally media produced. Like, I didn't know who the hell the guy. I had to Wikipedia him, Google him.
Yeah.
I had to learn, and I had this Facebook post. Is the United States learns geography when people start bombing. That was my Facebook post because I firmly believe that.
I would agree.
That most people don't know
where Ukraine is exactly.
Yeah. And I know where Ukraine is. I just didn't know who the hell the president was.
Exactly.
So having this podcast, when that happened, I was like, oh shit, I got to learn a lot about that guy real quick. Like,
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So here's another.
It's in the South Pacific, right?
Maybe a little bit off the beaten path, but that's okay. We'll get there. Here's another question, guys. Basically, accepting Ukrainian refugees in the United States, Americans support that idea. 78-15. I think that's pretty straightforward, right? I mean,
isn't that isn't that the whole thing about the Statue of Liberty?
Yeah, come you tired, you're poor.
What's the issue? Yeah,
exactly.
We'll handle you guys if you're not handled.
Yeah.
Refugees are a bad thing.
Yeah. 2.5 million, I read.
Displaced people.
That's staggering numbers. That's like...
Don't get me wrong. Immigration...
times 2.
Self-displaced people from Honduras in bad borders on not a good thing. Mm-hmm. But displaced from war, we can't. We're a country for that. We need to, even in the southern border, if you do it legally, it should be done. Mm-hmm. It's just it's a matter of the legality. The illegal is not good.
Exactly.
But the legal, if you want to come from anywhere, I don't care what border you
keep coming. Yeah, exactly.
As long as because that's what that's what our country's about and founded on.
Yeah, exactly.
I've got no problem with it, but coming here from Ukraine's a long way.
It is.
Yeah.
So unless you have like relatives already here, I don't know why you would come here.
Can't we
refuge.
Spend more dumb money that we're spending on other stuff and just kind of set them up in another country, or like?
Well, it's actually a really good question, Steve. My guess would be you're flying them out of Ukraine, probably into Germany, or into the Netherlands and to Amsterdam, and then from there over to to the United States. In that regard, that would be my logistical thing. Because Europe is. It's pretty big, obviously.
My
you're not flying from the Ukraine over to,
You're taking people from their part of the world, like where their allergies are, where their families are, where they're used to everything, and bringing them to the United States seems like a dumb idea.
No.
Like, couldn't you put them up in another country until?
Yeah.
Really depends on how Europe can hold.
I'm not saying that the United States shouldn't do anything like screw them. I'm saying the United States should take that money and kind of help them stay in their own
area.
Neighborhood.
Like, why would you bring them here? This is culture shock.
Oh, it totally would be. Yeah,
at that point, like that's the one thing I disagree with. Like, why put everybody in New York City when they've never been to a major city?
Exactly,
like that,
and then all of a sudden they've got to readjust. Yeah, that's a good point.
That seems like downgrading humans for no reason.
Yeah. It's a decent point. Gents, another obvious one. 86 to 11% believe in the positive. Americans believe that the Russian people do not have a say in what Vladimir Putin and his government choose to do. Talk about a softball question, right?
I wouldn't even call it government. I would call it the
dictatorship, oligarchs,
the
whatever
oligarchs
the case.
And Vladimir Putin make all the decisions. So it's like 11 people that make decisions for an entire country.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've heard sports stars talk about that. I know people personally who've moved from Russia to Philadelphia. Mm-hmm. That's the reason they left. Yeah. Because it was propaganda. It was BS. It was they weren't free. They're not free people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, they're not making decisions.
I'd love to know who said no to this poll.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, do you not know how elections work over there?
Yeah.
Like, oh, you're running against me, and
okay, well, I'll just slip you a little plutonium in your.
Yeah, exactly.
Come on.
In the best words of the former Venezuelan president, it just happens. You want to get elected? You have the most money. Oh, look, I'm president.
Look at that. Americans overwhelmingly, 74 to 19%, do not think the Russian people have a full understanding of what's going on in Ukraine, gents. Steve, your thoughts on that?
Well, yeah, because their media is like any authoritarian country, anything that's and it's come out. They said you can't spread fake news about war or under penalty. Like, you think it's bad here? You get banned from Facebook?
And 15 years in jail. 15 years in jail if you do anything. Yeah, 15 years in jail for prison.
And they don't have the laws that we have in America where you have to have a trial at a normal speed of time.
Yeah.
They don't have that.
You're in jail. You're not getting out anytime soon.
For 30 years and then get on trial in 30 years and be in jail for another 30 years. Mm-hmm. That's how they handle stuff. That way,
that's how you quash dissent.
At least 20% of Russia is standing up against.
Yeah.
Which is a good sign.
Yeah. Well, I've also read too, Johnny.
These are good things to protest against.
Yeah, exactly. I've also read too that there are grassroots efforts to actually get, like, essentially cold calling people in Russia to change their minds, trying to get them to change their minds about it,
You're going
as
to
opposed
have
to getting just from the state-run media. I mean, that, whatever you can do.
You have to do stuff like that, because if it's as clear as we think it is that he's going to face war crimes, that
you're darn right.
Government is going to have to change.
Yes.
Because if they pull him out, it isn't going to be.
No.
Because they're not just going to pull him out. It's the oligarchs are going with him. They're not just going after the first one. They're going after all of them.
I don't know what your thoughts are, guys, but the fact that Russia has a seat in the UN Security Council, the Star Wars Security Council, whatever you want to call it, the fact that they have a seat on that council, they got to get kicked out. I'm sorry. Like, especially with this, after this war. Like, the UN has to do something to get them off that council.
I thought there was already a movement to get them kicked out of
I think there might be. Yeah.
I heard some. I think from what England was, the thing I saw in England where he was asking for full support and got full support. I think it's building to where the United States media is not telling the full story. Like, they are literally trying to pull him from everything, and it's not okay what he's doing.
Exactly. Yeah.
But it's a Europe. They have to do that. This is they didn't do this before. This was what happened with World War II, where we had to intervene, which
we don't want to do.
Work out well for the grand scheme of things for a while. Yeah. But now that Europe is actually handling it, and he's not going to be on any council. He's not going to be. No. He's not. I don't think he's going to be there in a year. I do not think he's going to be alive.
I don't. Yeah.
They're done with him.
I think so. If there's enough groundswell of the Russian people to say, like, why is this taking so long? Or, there are so many people dying. What are we doing in this war? And you get that turned inside that country. That's huge. That is a massive political, you can call it propaganda all you want, but it's a huge swing in a positive direction to end this war.
It is. Really. What he does do is, with his Russian people, is 24 hours of propaganda. It'd be like 100%. If CNN was forced on TV, I would circa 2016, if everybody was forced to watch CNN every day, just think about the nightmare that would be. That's what happens in Russia.
Actually, more of a nightmare if you had Chris Cuomo on that show, John.
Yeah. Oh, God. I would have jumped out the window like 2017.
Before we move on to the second topic, I have one final question, guys, for you. And we kind of talked about this on pre-production. Really, what would Americans do, given the similar situation? We had someone coming in from the South, North, whatever.
Yeah.
How many would stay and fight, right? Overwhelming majority would stay and fight. You have 55% would stay, 38% would leave the country. I guess that sounds about right, in terms of the overall population. It was interesting, though, in this Quinnipiac poll, there was more of a majority on the Republicans' independent side, and then on the Democrats, it was the reverse. Democrats, they were like 52-40%. And we're not going to get into why that's the case. But we're really going to talk about, like, for us, what it would mean if we did have foreign invaders coming into the country to try and overtake the United States of America.
Yeah.
Would all three of us stay and fight? And all the three of us agreed in that regard.
It's kind of the NATO. It's the same as the NATO poll. Like, it's.
Now, I'd be scared out of my mind, but at the same time, I know that if I'm a civilian,
I'm not that tough.
Exactly.
Like, I don't wanna, but if I gotta.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't like it.
Yeah,
exactly.
I'd be bitching the whole time. Trust me. You guys would be traveling with me. I'd be like, this is the dumbest bleep we've ever done. But hey, we gotta.
Yeah, you gotta defend your homeland at that point. Yeah, I mean, I know for me,
and I'm sure that the Ukrainians have that same mindset. I mean, I'm sure they're not happy. I hope all nations, understand once this is over. These people they need medals of honor. They need all that love
no question.
That because they're now military.
Yeah.
Even though they're civilians, they're now military.
No doubt.
They need the same love that the military gets.
No doubt.
For everybody.
Especially when you have people that are coming back into that country on the Ukrainian military and getting those numbers back in.
Even the
willing to fight with them.
Even former United States soldiers are going over because there's a loophole. They went to the embassy. I watched a YouTube show. It was like an hour-long YouTube show. This dude gathered up a bunch of people that really wanted. It was like a swell of support, and they were all former military. He went to the embassy in New York, and they were like, yeah, there's total loopholes. If you could fly yourself over there, you could fight. And that's what they did. They all
were able to do that.
Went over because they knew they had the training and they could help, and they wanted to help. And I think 100 of them flew over, which is huge for Ukraine.
Huge for Ukraine.
That kind of sport. I'm sure you're getting that from Poland. I'm sure you're getting that from Germany. I'm sure you're getting that from a lot of countries of older soldiers that, you know, they don't like what's going on, and they want to help out.
Send over there and fight. Yeah, exactly.
The reality, though, of that question is we're in a good position geographically.
Very.
We're not bordered by any superpowers like Russia or China or any of those. So the type of invasion that's happening with Ukraine kind of would be a lot more difficult to stage for the U.S. If the U.S. were to get into a major war, it would be a much different type of fighting, I would fear, and not one where I think you're really having civilians bringing up arms. I fear it would be more ICBM based, for lack of a better term.
At that point, you're hoping that the U.S. military knocks those ICBM missiles out of the sky. Obviously, you want to make sure that stops quickly. And I have no doubt the Pentagon has that. Like I mean, it would be a disaster if a Putin or a Xi Jinping in China would try and do something like that, because the retaliation by this country would be like there wouldn't be a China, there wouldn't be a Russia, and it would be devastating.
The good factor here is that people in positions like the Chinese president, whose name you said,
Xi Jinping,
him and Putin, they're all about self-preservation.
Oh yes.
So they're not going to launch a nuclear.
They're not going to launch. Exactly, and that's a great point. I'm glad you said that, Steve. That's a great point. But let's quickly wrap this topic up here, talking about this Quinnipiac poll, because it was interesting when we were looking through some of the stats and we were kind of looking through it all and how did the science of polling and all that kind of stuff. Quinnipiac does it a little bit differently. We're not going to pick on them, but it's interesting that we were looking deep into it. We can't. Why not?
Their name starts with a Q. Bullshit.
How dare they?
You're out it.
But you have random sampling, and you've got they cold call. They basically go out, and whether or not you have a landline or a cell phone, they're going to call you. In 4 attempts, if you don't answer, that kind of deal. And then it's it's interesting that they call cell phone numbers. Sometimes that's, because I've heard that's a little bit of a very touchy subject.
I'm on the no-call list, man. What the hell?
Well, no, yeah, exactly.
No, that ended in 19 or whatever.
I think so.
Yeah, that no-call list. That's why you get random stuff.
That's why you get random calls.
Yeah, it ended.
But, I mean, polls have always been... You take them with a humongous grain of salt, don't you guys? I mean, seriously. This is not Bible-based type... Yeah. This is not true stuff. If anything, let's face it, the last 2 presidential elections have been horrible in terms of polling, have been awful, really, in terms of polling, to be perfectly honest. It's not an exact science, for sure.
No.
But yeah, I don't know what your guys' thoughts are on that. John, you're more in the political.
This one is, it has some. It's just we can't. The reason we're saying this is we couldn't source it as much as we could using the Franklin polls or using other polls. They give us far more information. This poll didn't give us enough information to satisfy our needs to be able to stand with the poll 100%. That polling's cool. Like the Franklin poll that we've done on the show a couple times with crime and coronavirus that we were using gave us a ton of data.
Oh yeah.
We had to break it up into small amount of data to present to everybody else, but there was a ton of data, and this didn't. So it left a bad taste in my mouth for that reason. Is I don't know. I want to know who you polled, when you polled them, how you polled them. Were you was it on the phone? Was it what time was it? When did you do this? Was there a gun to this person's head?
And have you been able to independently verify whether or not someone is actually a Democrat or Republican? or an independent.
That's what was my expectation.
Yeah.
And that's what makes me,
weary.
I like a lot of the questions.
They were great questions. Yeah.
Yeah. Getting in depth into that.
Yeah. But I think the methodology was very interesting because it's like, well, they're just randomly calling people. And it's like you're self-identifying as a Democrat or you're self-identifying as a Republican. One could be one and a half dozen the other, right? I mean, someone could be a Democrat and vote Republican, or vice versa. It depends really on how that all plays out. But it's not grounded set. This guy is a registered Republican. This guy is a registered Democrat.
Exactly.
Like that. Yeah.
Exactly.
The methodology scares me just because, as John pointed out, he knows specifically people who would give you weird answers just for the hell of it.
Mm-hmm.
I did cold calling as a job for a while.
Oh,
people would mess with me all the time.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
I hope I wasn't one of them.
If you were, I wouldn't know.
And there's people. Well, I wouldn't do it because there's people like me also who would never answer the phone when you don't recognize the number, and if it says
Quinnipiac or whatever we call it,
crappy polling. Yeah. I'm certainly not going to answer it. So you've already whittled down, it's random polling, but you've whittled down the pool of people who would actually give you straight answers. And now you may be getting people who want to participate in the poll.
Yeah.
They have some agenda to drive,
And
that agenda driven. We made the point in pre-production of the whole Republican narrative of the red wave.
Mm-hmm.
If you're actually looking at the numbers, it's not like everybody has turned Republican and we're gonna eat the system. No, it's more and more people are actively registering voting, and they're from all walks of life.
Yeah,
and they're just tired of the bullshit.
Yeah,
but the Republicans from the far right jump on it and call it a red wave. Because Ted Cruz just wants his face in the camera.
Exactly.
The red wave's coming. No, you just want your face in the camera, bro. You're not paying attention to what's going on.
And same with the Democrats when they have a blue wave coming, that kind of a deal.
Yeah. I'm registered independent, and I have been my entire life from 18 to now, and I refuse to change. I have voted Democrat, I voted Republican, and I will continue to vote for the better person that I feel can run my county, my country. I'm not on either. I refuse to play with you guys. Sorry. I did it on purpose because I was told when I was younger, like, you need to pick a side. And I was like, I don't. I pick right here.
Yeah.
And I'm staying here.
That's good.
But I'll vote either way.
Yeah, that's good. That's real good. Well, gents, let's transition away from politics and let's get into sports. That seems to be our biggest thing here. Our second topic.
I need a nap after politics.
I know, seriously, right? Yeah. But our second topic is with one Calvin Ridley, and Steve has a very interesting story. Wide receiver of the Atlanta Falcons. Steve, why don't you go ahead and take it there, bud?
Yeah, Calvin Ridley has been suspended for a year. Or I don't know if it was a calendar year, if it was just the season or whatever.
I think it was the season, yeah. Mm-hmm.
He's been suspended for the season upcoming because he was placing bets. I believe some of them on his own team.
Yes, one was on his own team. A bunch of them were parlays. So it wasn't like an individual bet. It wasn't a Pete Rose situation where he was like, I'm betting this game. He was betting a bunch of games. For a bunch of money. I think it was like $3,800. I think the last I saw. It's probably going to be more later.
Well, yeah, because first it was $1,500.
Yeah, exactly. It was $1,500 to start. Now I think it's $38. It could be more than that by the time this comes out.
Yeah. So this was of particular interest to us because he was a highly possible trade candidate for the Eagles, who are in need of a veteran wide receiver.
Yep.
And so there goes that idea for the 2022 season.
I mean, they were close, right? From what I understand.
Well, yeah,
very close.
Jay Glazier put out a report yesterday or the day before that they were in extensive talks and they were about to agree on a deal. The Eagles were literally about to do it, and Atlanta backed out with no explanation showing what good organization they are, because you can't
because
you're not that they would be in trouble if they did that. They backed out, didn't return some calls, allowed the NFL to investigate. And then this is what happened. And then it came out later that that's why they pulled back from it.
Interesting.
And there was a source, Glazier said, from the Eagles organization, said that they were really appreciative that Atlanta pulled the plug when they did.
That's massive. Yeah. I mean,
that's
a lot to the Falcons.
You could have dumped him and said, I don't know yet.
Yeah.
Because that's just a memo that comes across your desk. They could have fabricated that memo, right?
Yep.
You could have said that the secretary was sick, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
something was missing, or
thing, and I made this trade. They could have easily got away with trading him to the Eagles. So
the issue that I had really with the trade idea was, okay, this guy played for a little bit and then took like an extended, like a mental health break. Yeah, I think during the season. My heart, I don't know if his heart is really in it. I don't know. Maybe, who knows? I mean, I get it.
I don't think he's a bad person.
No, I don't think so either.
I just think he's a little bit dumb because he's betting when he's a pro athlete, and that's not legal.
That's
like your contract is signed, like it's in your contract. Like I understand that they don't read, like players don't read their contracts, but if you're at any age in even in high school sports, what's expected. Like, what's expected of you. Yeah. Like if my work had a thing that I can't bet on basketball games for whatever reason, like they don't believe in, or it's a core value. Same thing, like we talked about this with the vaccines. Like if it's a core value of your company, which is a core value of the NFL, that says you can't do this while you are employed by said company. You're an idiot because you just violated it for no reason. Like he lost a year of his career not following basic logic of you can't do this while you're employed here.
Yeah. Pete Rose is still suspended from the Hall of Fame because he was gambling in the game he played.
He's always going to be. I don't think he's ever getting in.
I was just going to say that might be
They might put him in after he dies.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know, John. I mean, if it.
I don't want to see, and I know it's a big argument. Somebody, they proved.
I know that's going to be like a future topic
at
Too Noobs.
It's the same thing with Barry Bonds. It's the same thing with there are certain rules that we as working class people need to follow.
No doubt.
Sports athletes need to follow the same thing.
Now, what are your thoughts on that? I'll use your words there, Johnny. What do you think about racist Roger Goodell and what he had to say? Holding up the integrity of the game, which is rich coming from him because he's got a franchise in Las Vegas, Nevada. They also run fantasy football, which is a form of betting.
He should shut up.
Got to get him out of the league.
I don't know. At this point, I'm totally cool with Ridley getting suspended. That should be handled by the deputy commissioner, and Roger Goodell should shut the fuck up. He just needs the man shouldn't speak. If he's going to be commissioner,
he's the commissioner.
Just be dumbass. Make your $30 million sitting in an office not doing anything. You don't help anything. You're an idiot.
You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to vote this guy to my right over here, Mr. Steve Murray, commissioner of the National Football League. I have long wanted that. The guy's a genius. The guy's
How can we get you genius. There?
We got to get him there. I'm telling you right now.
Who do I need to beat up?
He's run, if he can run the Torn ACL Fantasy Football League for 26 years now, something like that.
Flawlessly, by the way.
I think so.
Flawlessly.
No drug suspensions.
I mean,
we're a class organization.
And hey, we don't play for money. It's all about pride.
It's all about pride. Yeah.
Okay. We don't have illegitimate children. Jerry Jones. No, kidding.
But we've had some interesting drafts over the years, right, guys? I mean, some guys have drafted convicts. One of them, of course, to my left has drafted so many convicts over the years. What's that?
Put up points.
They put up points.
Everybody's mad because they got a felony conviction. But
there was one I think that Glenn had.
Receivers.
He had Aaron Hernandez on his team.
That's right.
Yeah,
Aaron Hernandez one year. That's right.
Until he killed people, he was a pretty good tight end.
Exactly.
I didn't know Aaron Hernandez was going to kill people.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I've got no problem throwing the book at him. I'm not a fan of sports betting. Generally, I honestly can't stand, all the prop bets and all that nonsense that you get on the sports programming now that it's legal to do it.
Yeah.
It seems like it's every other ad now.
I know.
That they're doing like these parlay bets and doing this and doing that.
The
drives me
DraftKings stuff
crazy.
is ridiculous. Dude, DraftKings even runs stuff on WWE television. That's how ridiculous it is.
I mean, they were on AEW with their latest pay-per-view in Revolution. Yeah.
That's like ridiculous. Like it's making a mockery of it.
Yeah.
I'm fine if you want to bet if it's between your bookie and you and you're watching it. The one thing I don't enjoy is watching sports with someone that bet on the game because I told you that story in Vegas with the dude walking by. I was watching the Eagles game and they put Vic in. They took McNabb out and he lost his mind because he was like, "Don't you know there's a line? Like, what does that matter? Like, it's a bunch of
that doesn't matter. That shouldn't matter to the team. That's my point.
Yeah, it doesn't matter to watching. So like, I don't personally bet. I have in the past. I've thrown some stuff up when I was in Vegas and having a good time. Seeing.
But to be that into it.
But I wasn't betting on my hometown team because I want to enjoy that. You know what I mean? Alone, I want to enjoy that. But if you're in Vegas, like if you're throwing $20 on a college football game or a random game, like that's not a big deal. But my biggest point with this is he is employed by a professional company. He can't do that. It's in the bylaws.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's there for a reason.
Exactly.
Because numb shits like the one you're talking about in Vegas, who are all, don't they know there's a line? Coaches, players should not be making any decision in a game based on gambling.
Yeah.
Okay. 100%. It should be all about one, winning the game.
Yeah, competition.
Or two, if you're getting blown out, it should be preserving the health and well-being of your players, not trying to satisfy some bookie.
Love it.
I get the reasons why sports betting is legal, and it's probably good that it's legal because now it's easier to catch people like Calvin Ridley who are breaking the rules.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But I have no problem with them throwing the book at him because you need to set an example that this, it's betting is legal now, so more people can get into it, but you can't get the athletes into it because that would ruin. I mean, it would ruin the whole integrity of the game.
Yeah, exactly. It would ruin the sport.
Now you have the people who complain. Well, you gave him a year, but you got people who were accused of spousal abuse got like 2 games. There probably should be more punishment on that side.
But that's on Roger Goodell. That's not on Calvin Ridley and this thing. Like the league needs to. Yeah. I understand that argument, but that's not the argument that we're having. Like you should throw the book at Calvin Ridley. He should get a year. That should be easy. Like you bet 100%. Just build off that. So if betting isn't the worst thing in the world, it's spousal abuse. Maybe that's 2-3 years. Maybe you're thrown out. But the NFL, this is the first time the NFL has made a stamp on something, and they better grow from this, or nobody's going to watch them.
100%.
Because I understand the people coming in and saying that because it makes sense. But they need to build a tier. Because remember, Roger Goodell was the rough and tough. He was
so out of control though. And when he was starting handing those suspensions, Johnny, you know what I mean? No, but nothing made sense. Everything was just like, 4 games, 6.
But
like, where are you going with all this?
This is logical. And I know
this makes sense.
I know it's weird that this makes sense, and the NFL made sense. I hope they grow on this.
Yeah.
I hope they stop the bullshit that we don't need to speak about Roger Goodell being utter idiot. Because he wasn't even the one that threw this down. This was his deputy commissioner. Deputy commissioner that threw this down, that started the investigation and completed it. Yeah. So Roger Goodell gets nothing from me. He didn't even do it.
Well, he's supposed to.
Why would he work a day in his life? That piece of shit.
Yeah, my point is just people may be claiming that this penalty is wrong just because the domestic stuff those suspensions were so short. It was like, well, how could you give him a year if you only give Ray Rice 2 games or whatever?
Yeah.
This suspension can be right while those suspensions are also wrong.
Wrong.
Okay. And I think that's where we have to be.
Great
I
point.
think giving him a year is probably right because you can't have people doing this to the game.
Yeah, exactly.
100%.
Exactly.
I would be okay if it was 3-4 years.
It depends on the severity, I think.
It
Ultimately,
wouldn't bother me. Do the other things need to be fixed? Absolutely.
Absolutely.
It wouldn't have bothered me if they gave him 3-4 years, take his prime away from him.
Yeah, at that point, you're pretty much a 3-4 year suspension. You're pretty much ending
I
your
have no
career.
and that's the whole point of we need to get back in society and understand it. He signed the contract.
Yes.
He just didn't sign the contract and be like, oh, I can do whatever
I
I
can
want.
do this.
This
Yeah.
is not the NCAA.
Yeah.
The
Exactly.
one
This is real
thing,
life.
one thing to his benefit is I don't think he played in any of the games he bet on. Right?
No, it was when he was off.
He was off. Right?
Yeah.
If he bet on games he played in,
Oh.
I would support an even harsher suspension.
Oh,
100%.
100%.
So
Yeah.
that's actually a really good point. Thanks for bringing that up.
Yeah, that's a good
So,
point.
so I'm cool with the year because he didn't actually play. If he played in them, it should have been longer.
Yeah.
Right,
no doubt.
but you need to send a message.
You
You need to send a
It should
message.
have been much longer, but he didn't play in them. So
Exactly. Well, gents, let's move on a little bit more.
give me a
Our
minute. I
third-
got to go bet on the game. No.
Let's move on to our third topic here, guys. Retired players. Which one, and again, Steve brought this really to our attention. This is a great question. Which retired player would you want to have come back and play right here, right now, in this generation?
in their prime.
In their prime.
Yeah, in their
So
prime.
it's not like well, we want Wayne Gretzky to play now. Well, Wayne Gretzky's like 50 some years old. You don't want him
Exactly,
to
yeah.
play at
In
50
their
some-
prime. Yep,
Right.
in their prime.
You are
So
using a time machine and transporting someone in their prime to.
You're hopping in the DeLorean.
The guy that
you're
asked
bringing
about
him
if he
back.
identified as human is now using time machines.
But John, what do you think? Which player?
I'm conflicted. I need to ask one or two questions just to complete my circle here.
Do you classify as human?
Is it exactly? Is it every sport? Can I do is it just Philly or are we doing worldwide?
Any sport you want. I found this. I think it was on
It's
Twitter.
Absolutely anything.
It could be anything you want.
Yep.
I got a very interesting one. I
Okay.
want Pete Sampras back because I want to watch dominant tennis on the weekend.
There you go.
Pete Sampras.
Yeah,
That's
like,
a great one.
He was
He was phenomenal.
goat of goats.
Yeah. Him and Agassi, or him and
I bet you with the younger guys, they could put on matches that would be.
you put
so
him against a
television
Nadal.
worthy.
Yeah, you put him against a
I
Nadal.
miss tennis when he left.
Yeah. Oh, no doubt.
I agree.
Yeah. You have him
That's a big one.
against
That's
a
a big
Federer.
one.
I mean, that would be amazing. That
Oh,
would be,
him! That would be
oh,
everything. That'd be on a world stage.
you literally would be like, shut up and take my money. You know, that kind
Exactly. Because I think Federer might beat him.
yeah, that would be
he
unbelievable.
might be as good or
Yeah.
better.
I love that. It's like outside the box.
That was. I didn't know if we were going. If we were.
Yeah,
just
no,
thinking
that's
sports
great.
or anything.
Love it.
That's my big. I miss him probably more than I miss. I miss him more than I miss Kobe, and that's saying a lot.
That's saying a lot. Yeah, that's good.
I'm actually very impressed. I never would
that
have
was
picked
really
you as a
good. Yeah.
Sampras guy, but
That's really
absolutely.
great.
That's awesome.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's awesome. For me, it's Jerry Rice. Are you kidding me? I mean, I would love to see him go up against any cornerback in the NFL right now. Anyone.
With these rules.
Yeah.
With these
He beat
rules,
every
are you
one of
kidding
these
me?
guys.
He would dominate. I mean, it would be no question. Like I think he played in an era where there was I think the Mel Blount rule didn't take place until after he retired. I think something like that. I forget when.
The
he
what
retired.
rule?
The Mel Blount rule, meaning that Mel Blount was very famous. This is like dating myself. Sorry.
Physicality.
The physicality at the line of scrimmage.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they backed that off to 5 yards. I think after he retired, and that's what made him a Hall of Famer.
Oh, the 5 yard contact.
The 5 yard
Okay.
contact.
Yeah.
You have that, but it's like
You could have
it's
cost
free
him.
reign.
if
You
he-
can go no matter what. They can. The only thing they do is hold you now, basically. And he would be unbelievable. The way he would play, get out of here.
I think there's two guys in the league, Ramsey and Slay, that could run with him. I'm not saying cover him, but I'm saying run
Run
with
with him.
That's yeah. Like he would torch.
And I'm talking Rice from 86, 87, 88, 89. Yeah. That's when he 90. Well, he played for God knows how long, but I mean,
but when he had
from 86 to 93, he was the best receiver.
Not Seahawks, Jerry Rice.
No, or Raiders.
Raiders.
Oh crap! I forgot about that.
That's right. Yeah, I remember
when he cut at the 15-yard line and ran full speed.
Yeah.
Through the middle of the field.
You're not going to catch him.
Yeah, he was his physical. You're right. His physical. Yeah. He was an athlete. Yeah. Man, that dude could run.
Another one I would throw in there would be Dan Marino.
Dan was fun to watch.
I mean, that's mid to late 80s, lasted into the 90s, of course, and he would trigger of an arm. In this offense, any offense he
probably throw 100 touchdowns.
He probably would.
A year.
He probably would.
The Washington Commanders would sign him. And then cut Carson Wentz.
And then probably cut Carson Wentz, yeah. Steve, what do you think on that question? What do you think?
The first one that came to my mind when I saw the question, and it's no question to me, I would absolutely bring prime Eric Lindros to play in this NHL.
It wouldn't even be fair.
It wouldn't. Yeah.
It wouldn't be fair.
He played his prime. His prime was played in the clutch and grab dead puck era.
Yeah.
And he still put up massive numbers. I would love to see what he could have done with the free-flowing offense you can get now. You know, nobody can grab you. His size, his physicality to just beat people down. There is no comparable player in the NHL like him today.
To give you an idea, like in the clutch and grab era, the points per game, 94, 95, where it was like you're holding on to somebody's jersey, 1.52 points per game. One and a half.
Just to Steve's point, he played against guys like Stevens every night that were draped on his back. It's not just every Eastern Conference team had a guy.
Our younger viewers,
like that.
Look
that
him
would
up.
drape on Lindros' back night after night after night after night.
You look up, you put in Eric Lindros 1995 in YouTube. I guarantee you,
he had no room
in there. It's not even close. I mean, it's a different style of an NHL. He would be 2 points per game minimum in this NHL. I think minimum 2 points per game.
We used to think having 5 feet of space was great. Growing up in that era playing.
Yeah.
If you had 5 feet, you were, oh my God, you were breaking that dude's ankles.
Yeah.
Now they have 11, 12 feet.
It's crazy.
They have time to think before they even make a move.
Yeah.
He would have scored 50 goals a year, maybe 60, possibly 70.
Maybe pushing.
Maybe.
With the ability to pull back with that cushion defense
in this NHL because the goalies.
He could have scored 20 goals just shooting.
Back in his era, guys, do you think this is interesting? Like, you're talking goaltenders. Were they better back then, or are they better now?
I think every sport, they're better now. Okay. Just the training and that they've seen more. Yeah, I think you just get better. Like, the centers now in NBA, the players in the NFL, the players in the NHL, they are far better now than they were just because of the training. The understanding of injuries, the equipment, I think it all just changes. Yeah. So the goalies are better now, but I don't think it would stop
him.
Eric Lindros with nobody on his back.
It was pretty close to seeing that. I found a video that did when he had 4 goals against Toronto.
Yeah.
I don't remember what year it was. But his first goal, he just blasted a slap shot. Yeah. I don't care what goalie was in that net. They were not going to stop it.
Could you imagine him having 11 feet? That's 25 extra goals a season just to blast that slap shot.
I have no doubt he would score at least 2 points.
On that slap shot once a year in the clutch and grab era, but he could do it 25 in this era.
John, he would easily hit 2 points per game in his career. I have no doubt in my mind if he's playing in this NHL as opposed to.
And he was a passer.
He was a
passer.
That's
one thing that people don't talk about.
And you have that open space. Get out of here.
Give him that open space. Claude Giroux would have 50 goals playing with him. Because all he'd have to do is run to the net. Oh, well, look, I tipped another one in. Oh, wow.
Yeah, exactly. I have all this room. Yeah. That's a good one.
That's a no-brainer to me.
That's a no-brainer. Yeah.
It's like Joel Embiid playing with James Harden. We got to cancel them this open.
Exactly. That's good. That's really, really good. All right. So to close out Two Noobs here in the fourth topic, this is going to be really cool because when this episode launches, of course, the next day will be the first round of the NCAA tournament. And of course, in Two Noobs, we're going to have our own tournament with different ones. But this is interesting. We have a top 8 tournament, John, of what exactly?
Candy bars.
Love it.
This is Google. This is not me sitting down eating candy bars. I wasn't logging them up. My wife wasn't like, oh, did you like the Milky Way better than the Snickers? No. I literally just throw in the Google 2020 candy bars worldwide, not just America, because if you think only America exists, you're an idiot. Worldwide, I wanted everybody's opinion.
Okay.
So I got everybody's opinion. I'm going to start off with Steve. We're going to do the 4-5.
4-5. Okay.
The 4-5 game.
Okay.
You've got the
you need to give that ground rule about being a bar, though.
It's a bar. It's a bar. It's not that shitty Reese's peanut butter cup because it's a circle. Doubt.
They're not candies.
Hey.
No, I know, I like them a lot, but they're circles, so you couldn't be in it.
Right.
There are things that aren't just one bar, like Twix, Kit Kat. But they're shaped like a bar, so they're in.
Okay.
They're in. That's the only one we threw out was Reese's, and it was number 2.
Well, you don't have M&Ms or
Yeah, no hard candies.
Yeah, they were actually lower on the list. They wouldn't have made the 8 tournament. Funny.
Oh wow,
that's shocking. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, any M&M was lower than 8. So these are maybe because they're not a bar. Maybe Google did some work for me. I did put in candy bar.
What's your 4-5 matchup there, Johnny?
We're gonna give Steve the first game.
Okay.
It's 4-5.
Okay.
It's the 4 seed is the Milky Way.
Okay.
Ooh. Okay.
5 seed is Almond Joy.
Ooh. Wow.
Now that's going to be an easy one for me just because I hate Almond Joy, so I'm going to go with the Milky Way.
You're going to go Milky Way. All right.
Milky Way. I love the caramel and the nougat.
I don't like Almond Joys either.
So yeah, I'm going with the Milky Way for sure.
Milky Way. Okay. All right.
So we go to the 3-6 for Matt.
Okay.
Matt, we got Twix. Oh no, sorry, we got Kit Kat.
Okay.
And 100 grand. I will preface this with 100 grand is my favorite candy bar on the planet.
Oh,
I was mad when I didn't see them number 1.
I made homemade.
But that's a great 3-6 matchup.
I made homemade 100 grand bars one time.
Oh, this is why we're all friends.
I gotta go with the 100 grand. I gotta go with it.
Wait, which one was 100 grand the 6?
It was the 6.
Yeah, 3-6.
And the big 3-6 upset. I'm going with a 100 grand bar. You guys convinced me.
100 grand moves on.
Yeah.
So Steve, we're going to the 1-8.
All right, 1-8. All right, so I got a full bracket here. Okay. Because the 1-8 plays the 4-5, right?
Yep.
Okay. Right.
So 1-8.
NCAA.
1-8. We got Snickers as the number 1 seed. It's got everything.
That's overrated, but go on.
It's just like Duke every year.
Exactly.
Going against the very, 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 it's not a bar, but it looks like a bar, the Hershey bar.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to give you a little story here.
Oh boy.
We did a virtual chocolate tasting with my firm.
This is amazing.
Wait a minute. A virtual chocolate tasting? What is that?
So what it meant was we all met on Zoom. And
okay.
They mailed us the various chocolate things in pouches.
Thank God you tasted them. I thought
that doesn't sound right.
And the guy, it was a guy, he runs a company that's very successful out of like Miami, I think. Mm-hmm. And he went to all these lengths to explain how the chocolate is made and how the flavors, and you taste it, you put it in your mouth and you kind of let it melt because that's how you taste it better.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah. And long story short, he's like, yeah, Hershey's, those kinds of things, they're cheap and you can taste it. I'm a guy who going to a $100 a plate steak restaurant is wasted on because I would much rather eat a burger.
Be the same.
or a slice of pizza.
Yeah.
There you go.
And I feel the same way about the chocolate.
Yeah.
Hershey's chocolate's just for me. And I don't like peanuts in my chocolate. So there's going to be an 8-seed upset with the
Whoa!
Hershey.
There we go. 8 seed
Whoa.
moves on.
Love it.
8 seed moves on. Nice.
Love it.
Nice.
Love it.
I
You
feel
know
I
what?
feel the same way.
It's interesting because you look at a Snickers, it's a great candy bar, obviously, but if you're allergic to the peanuts, you're not eating the Snickers bar. You know what I mean? So it's
I couldn't believe that Snickers was number one. I don't think it's a bad bar, but it's not the one that I choose. Like I would, if I'm going nougat chocolate, I'm going Three Musketeer before I'm even going Milky Way because I don't like caramel. So there's like a level of.
Yeah.
You know what the nice thing about the Hershey bar is too? So you can get those kind of standard size, and they break off. That's another nice thing. You break them off and eat, and you can save if you don't want to finish the whole thing.
Exactly, and then
But you can also get the really big, like 5-pound bars, and they are also segmented, and you can break those pieces off.
It's off and save them for later. Exactly.
That's why Hershey bars is in the semifinals. Right? All right, Matt. Last one of the first round.
You got it.
2-7.
Okay.
Twix.
Okay.
Nestle's Crunch.
Ooh. This is hard because actually it's not that difficult. Twix.
Twix. Okay.
Twix,
There's something
because
you said for both of them.
And Nestle's Crunch is it's interesting. I mean, you got the rice patties in there, and it kind of, obviously makes a crunch. But I mean, when you look at Twix, come on, you got the great bar. Really, you got the peanut. You
get 2 of them.
Yeah, exactly.
And you get 2 of them for God's sake.
It's the best
It's
part.
like Twix, 100%. Yeah, that's like a 2. That's an easy move on.
Well, now that we've got the top 8, I'm very disappointed that and maybe it doesn't exist anymore. The Reese's Fast Break bar.
Oh,
it does
not
exist. It was very low. It was in the top 20, but it was very low. I think it was like 18 or 19.
Okay, so
those to me were
low.
They were better than the Reese's cups.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's.
And I don't remember what was in them or why it was better, but they were better. I'm sure they were horrible for you. But they were better.
they probably had things in we can't even pronounce.
Probably.
Johnny, what was just out of curiosity? What was whatchamacallit placed at? Do you have any idea?
It was in the like 13, 14.
Okay. All right. So if there would have been a top 16, it would have made it.
I wanted to do a 20, but we don't have the editing process to do a huge.
That would have been really hard.
And I do not have the time to write this out and share the screen. That's why I just was like 8. We're good.
That's good. Yep.
8's good.
All right, so
I'm just trying to think if there's.
This is Lazy Man's Field of 64.
Love it.
That's all everybody needs to know.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think if there's any other ones that I would have been interested to see on there. Because the whatchamacallit's an interesting one.
Yeah, the whatchamacallit I thought would be on for mine. Whatchamacallit would be on there. Three Musketeer.
That's the one. That's the one I was missing. Three Musketeers. So that wasn't in there.
Three Musketeer was not on there. I was surprised at Milky Way, but I mean, people like caramel.
Yeah.
I would prefer the Three Musketeers to a Milky Way. But I'll eat either one.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not going to discriminate.
Exactly. If I walk into a room and you hand me a Three Musketeers,
you're not going to say no.
I'm eating whatever you had. Like, look, candy. Like, it's good.
Love it.
Judging. Like, I was never a judgmental child when we were during Halloween.
Love
if
it.
You gave me something, I ate it.
I'll eat it.
Yeah.
So let's move on to the semifinals.
Well, let's move on to let's give Steve the $100,000 Twix
matchup.
$100,000
Grand or Twix? Yeah. This is when it gets hard.
Really hard.
This is hard.
This is really hard.
Yeah.
Dude, $100,000 was my number one. Like, I was so mad when I was like, it was like 6th on the list. I was like, what are these people eating? Like $100,000. I love $100,000.
This is hard.
This is really hard.
Yeah.
When I made the homemade $100,000, I used Werther's caramel.
Oh,
Nice.
See?
Nice.
And melted that into little bar
Look
forms.
He says he's not classy, but look how he gets classy when he makes homemade $100,000.
Well, you got to buy soft caramels to make these things. It's not exactly like there's a bunch of them out there.
That's right.
Not go Werther's.
What do you think?
I think I'm gonna have to go with Twix.
Oh, okay.
Just because I think Twix gives you a broader variety of flavors and textures.
There you go.
You got the caramel, you got the cookie,
you got two of them.
Chocolate covering.
Hey, got
100 grand is great, but it's.
They have a great marketing program, left and right.
Yeah.
Twix does everything right.
Yeah, exactly.
100 grands are great, but the caramel inside is usually a little bit on the chewy side. Whereas Twix, you can just gobble those right down.
Oh, easily. And the best thing about them too is that not only with the bar form, but you also get them in the bite size.
Yeah.
You really do.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
All right, 100 grand, you're not.
I'm gonna go with Twix.
All right, Twix moves on. Twix is in the finals.
They're the 2 seed, right?
They're the 2 seed.
They are the 2 seed. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So we got the 4 seed Milky Way versus the 8 seed Hershey Bar, who upset Snickers already.
Yeah.
So
I'm
going that zone defense is what.
Okay, so Hershey's classic, right? That is a very classic bar, as we all talked about, as Steve eloquently talked about. You could break them apart, save them for later. You could dunk them in anything, really. Coffee.
And it's Hershey, PA. Like it comes
Hershey,
from
you got the home
state.
field. But
I'll be there this coming weekend.
There you go.
What? I'm going Milky Way, only because of the caramel nougat when you bite into it.
There you go.
That adds it right on top of it. So I'm going Milky Way.
A great choice. And we got the 2 versus the 4.
And this is hard.
See, this is how the NCAA works too. 2 versus 4.
I hope nobody was placing wagers on this.
I hope so. I hope they were.
Can you believe there was a line? Damn it!
Just don't be working for Too Noobs or you're fired.
Yeah, I really screwed all those people who bet on Snickers, man. Screw them.
Exactly. Yep. So we got Twix.
The millions we pay out for this production. I mean,
we got Twix and Milky Way. We got Twix and Milky Way, guys. So this is going to be what? Best of 3?
We're going to take the vote. We're going to take the vote. So Matt, you give us the vote and then go counterclockwise.
Okay. So Milky Way, right? You got, as I mentioned, you got the caramel, all that kind of stuff, right? Really good tasting bar. Never going to turn it down. Twix, same deal. You got the, and like, for me, it's a Twix. Again, you get 2 Twix bars. You only get 1 Milky Way. So you got the double.
And they might be the same size if you actually put them, like if you mold them together, they're probably the exact same. They probably
would be the same size, exactly. I just love the fact that you get that cookie crunch in Twix too. We don't talk about that. It's layered on top of a hard cookie crunch. That's always fun to eat. Milky Way is more of a soft candy bar. Not taking anything away from Milky Way. It is a worthy opponent. But hands down, I'm going Twix.
Left or right? Left or right?
I'm gonna go with I'll go with you, John. Go ahead, on my left.
No, I meant left or right Twix. Which one do you buy? Because there's the left Twix and there's the right Twix. They're made from 2 factories. Don't you know this marketing thing?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I'll go with right Twix.
Okay.
I'll go with the right Twix. Yeah.
Okay, and then I'm absolutely positively. I have they're not even thought. Twix. I'm the left Twix, but I'm Twix. 100%.
100%?
100%.
Okay.
Milky Way can't even compete with a Twix. If I go to the store and there's 2 choices, I'll never pick Milky Way.
Okay. But you're not discounting Milky Way.
No, Milky Way's great. Yeah. If I walked into Steve's house and he handed me a Milky Way, I would be like, thank you, sir, very much for this amazing
amazing candy bar. Yeah.
John, stop pumping my leg. God damn it.
All right, Steve, what do you got?
All right, well, I mean, Twix has already won the championship, so my vote doesn't really matter. Yeah, but it's, I've been sitting here pondering it. I'm going to go with the Twix.
Oh, wow.
Right or
I
left?
love nougat. I actually, I'll eat 3 Musketeers really weird. I'll, eat the chocolate off of the nougat and then eat the nougat separately.
I thought you would at least eat it with a knife and fork for a minute.
Hell no.
No.
So Milky Way's got the nougat with the caramel, which is a nice combination. But Matt, I think I agree with you. The cookie crunch, with the caramel gives you a really nice. It's just really nice.
All I got to say is too, with George Costanza, he wanted a Twix, never got it.
Campaign?
I don't care. I eat either one of them. It doesn't matter to me.
That's awesome. Yeah. So Steve is
Bring them on. I'll gobble them all up.
I was just going to say too, Kind of reminds me of George Costanza in The Dealership. That's a great episode by
They're all Twix.
They're all Twix.
Thank you for the success of that. I can't wait till next week. We have another one coming up next week.
Can't wait.
We don't have a preview of what that could be, or we got
no idea. I have no idea. It'll probably be written on like Wednesday. When I'm
So
sitting
Twix,
outside-
congratulations! You're the unofficial Two Noobs champion for the best candy bar.
Yes.
That was
For the
surprising.
audience-
Stickers. Yeah, go ahead.
For the audience, Matt and I did not know what the tournament
Anything,
bracket
yeah,
was
anything.
No
beforehand,
clue.
so this was completely off the cuff.
Love it.
Every tournament for the next 4 weeks is going to be completely off the cuff. It's going to be probably ridiculous because I'm thinking to go the ridiculous route because it seems we have the most fun with that.
There you go.
But they're not going to know, and it's all going to be Google searched. I'm not putting any effort into this.
That's awesome. You're just gonna
Google,
whip it up.
what
Love it.
is the bet? And then I wrote it down. That's the only effort I put into it is I write it down on a piece of paper like so.
Nice.
For
Love
weeks, and I try not to rip it out because I take notes all the time. Because maybe one of them will end up in the trash can because
Either
I'm
that or you take notes during the podcast, right, Johnny? No kidding.
I gotta find numbers and stuff when I have to put Steve over there and you in the middle and
Gotta throw it. Yeah, exactly. It's gonna be an interesting edit.
the same notepad.
There you go. So that's it. We wrapped it up. Episode 75, Two Noobs Talking. Gents, as always, great to be able to talk with both of you.
Hey, we got to give the 75th anniversary Steve Young jersey some love here.
Such a great jersey.
Yeah.
Such a great jersey.
I was there when he bought it. I was in St.
Yes,
Louis.
you was.
Yep.
They were real. I don't know who their marketing department was,
Oh,
but doing that black
offset.
white with the offset.
Beautiful.
That not just changed football culture. That changed culture
Yeah.
in understanding how nice you could make something.
Yeah. Right off of the jersey. Yeah. it's
They really did a great job. That's
Top
one
of
of the finest jerseys.
Yeah.
3D numbers, baby.
That's what it's all about. And with a great quarterback too. One of the
If you
all-time
look down at
greats.
our Two Noobs logo, you can see something very similar to how much that affected people throughout the time.
Exactly. So let's hit them up with our socials, gents. Where can people find us, John? Where can people take a look and see where they can find us, I guess?
I don't know. No, I'm kidding.
I don't know.
A real quick announcement. We are on Rumble.
Oh,
So
there you
if
go.
you'd like to find us on Rumble. It's just a different video
YouTube
site
thingy? Yeah.
that is linked to YouTube because they link to each other. So it's a different quality of video, and we are there. Just quick announcement for that.
Nice.
It helps.
There you go.
We got some views, so it just adds to our views, which is
There you go.
good.
We'll take
We're
it.
also on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and Clapper.
There you go.
Thank you for everybody on Clapper that were commenting on videos throughout this week. It was awesome.
That's great.
Really good stuff. We do short videos. Steve does short videos for
Mhm.
us that throw us to our.
Yeah, exactly. Now, well, that throws us, of course, to our main YouTube channel. Love it if you, of course, like, share, subscribe, and hit that notification bell when our videos drop. On the audio side, Steve.
We are proudly God damn it! We are proudly hosted by We're probably posted by Podbean too, but we are hosted by Podbean, which gets us out to Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts. We're on Amazon Music, iHeartRadio. We're on Spotify, where this fine gentleman may find you as well.
By the way, you are right in saying post it or host it because as soon as Matt uploads to Podbean,
Press
it
button.
dumps my Twitter account and says we posted. So they
Yay!
actually do post for us. It's weird because I get a notification from Twitter and I'm like, Matt, what are you doing up at 4 a.m?
Sleeping, John.
See how this all works?
There, exactly. Yeah. Our show notes can be found, of course, twonoobstalking.wordpress.com. You can find all our articles there.
And our YouTube and Rumble are attached to that.
Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So, yeah, it should be a lot of fun. But, gents, as always, great to be able to chat with you. And it's on to 76. Before we go, do we have anything final to say before we get the heck out of here?
Sean Bradley's next.
That's amazing.
Space Jam.
Space Jam. Here we go.
Dallas Mavericks.
All right.
Everything but the Philadelphia 76ers.
talk to you all guys next week. Take care.
If you don't read the newspaper, you're uninformed. If you do read it, you're misinformed. That's a great question. What is the long-term effect of too much information? One of the effects is the need to be first, not even to be truly informed.